We're continuing with the halachas involved in Hafrashas Challah. Yesterday's class dealt with the amount of flour, the amount of dough that is obligated in Hafrashas Challah. And today we will go into the halachic details involved in the actual separation. So how much dough is one obligated to separate? So while in the times of the Mikdash, when Challah was Minat Torah, there were specific measurements, 1/24th, 1/48th. The Maisa today, one is to separate a kazayas, the size of a kazayas, which is approximately 28 grams of dough, lichatchila. However, b'diavad, any amount suffices. In other words, today there is no real minimum shear of Hafrashas Challah, and therefore even if one separated less than a kazayas, it is valid. The bracha of Hafrashas Challah. Different customs exist regarding whether to say the bracha before separating or after separating the piece of challah from the rest of the dough. The widespread custom, however, is to first designate an area from the dough that the challah will be separated from, and then to say the bracha before separating of Asher Kedushanim V'Tzveis V'Tzivan L'Hafresh Challah. There are some that have a custom of saying L'Hafresh Challah Min Ha'isa. This is not our custom. One then separates a kazayas of dough, and after he separates a kazayas of dough, he says, Harei zu challah, or this is challah. The reason for separating the dough after the bracha is similar to all mitzvahs, that the mitzvah should always be done uber l'asiyasan, prior to the mitzvah one recites the bracha. However, there are some that are accustomed to first separate the challah, and only afterwards to say the bracha, in order so the hafrashas challah be designated already before the bracha is made. In any event, b'diavad, if one by mistake already separated the challah, and then remember that he did not say a bracha, then the bracha may still be made, so long as one did not yet say harei zu challah, as he has not yet designated this piece of challah, and thus one may still say the bracha of the hafresh challah. As we've mentioned in previous classes, brought in Hagoyas Maiminis, that it is a segula to pray for one's children during this time of Hafrashas Challah, and one is to pray for his children to grow up to be tzaddikim. What is one to do with the challah after it is separated? So it states in Shulchanaruchharav, chapter 322, Halacha 5, that to separate a piece of challah is to be burnt in an oven. For this reason, there are many till today that they take the separated piece of challah, wrap it in tin foil in order so the challah does not touch any areas of the oven, and then burn it in the oven. The reason why one must be careful to wrap the challah well is because challah, Hafrashas Challah, the piece that was removed, is considered hektish. And although not similar in terms of the kedusha, as lahavdil kedusha cannot be compared to non-kosher food, but in terms of its status, it is considered non-kosher food to any non-kohen. And therefore it's similar to placing any non-kosher piece of food inside your oven. And obviously no one would put non-kosher food in the oven. So for this same reason, the challah may only be placed if it is wrapped up properly, in order so it does not trafe up one's oven. Due to this, it is proper that one should never bake other foods at the same time in the oven while the challah piece is burning. And rather, if the challah should either be removed when one is baking, or one is to wrap it very, very well in a way that there's no chance that any vapor or any piece of the challah will come out. Due to these reasons that it is sometimes difficult to pay attention to this, many are accustomed today not at all to burn the challah, but rather they wrap it up, some say in a double wrappering, and they place the challah in the garbage. Practically today, this is the more preferred custom to follow due to the kashrus worry that the tinfoil of the challah may open prior to the challah becoming fully burnt, hence causing a kashrus issue for the oven. Furthermore, in any event today, most garbages are burnt by the city, and hence, regardless, one fulfills the mitzvah of burning the challah when discarding it in the trash. And thus, there is no more need to burn it in a kosher oven. And hence, practically, each person should contact their Rav in terms of what method they should use, whether throwing in the garbage or burning in the oven. But in all cases, in any event, one who decides to burn their challah must be careful that it is wrapped properly, and it does not, chas v'shalom, cause a kashrus issue for his oven, for his stove, and for his food. A question that once came to my attention after many years being done is a woman who would stab the challah with a fork in her from her fleshik drawer to make sure that the challah is burnt. Obviously, all the forks used throughout the year to stab this piece of challah became treif and were forbidden to be used, and entered the whole shiloh regarding all of her cutlery.